Hey everyone, hope you're well. Daniel here, just coming to you with a little behind the scenes as a continuation of my little videos that I've been doing for a while now, just to kind of show some of the behind the scenes processes with stone photo gear. This here is what is referred to as a clicker press, hydraulic clicker press. Most people in the textile industry, manufacturing, refer to this as a clicker press. It's a pretty ugly beast, and it looks pretty ugly because I actually put a bunch of paint remover on this a number of months ago, and I've been waiting for it to kind of just dry out and get all nasty. I'm actually going to have somebody come and sandblast this. This big beast weighs about 3,800 pounds. This whole big part in the back here is a big cast iron piece. The head itself is aluminum. But it looks pretty ugly. It's going to look a lot nicer once I finally get done with this project. But this is an older machine. As you can see, condition, it's pretty gnarly, but it works for a lot of really cool things. And one of the things that it's really good for, and it's primarily used for in lots of different industries, but especially within the manufacturing industry, for textiles, bags, cases, luggage, leather goods, especially leather goods. This basically takes dyes. It can be various kinds of dyes. These are dyes that are made for various purposes. These dyes will basically only do one thing, and that's what they're designed for. So you can, in some cases, there are people who make dyes with a laser, and then they have a automated bending machine which bends a very thin, sharpened steel rule. It comes on a big long coil, and then it'll get bent into the shape that you want. These are little reinforcing pieces for something that I make. That's not stone photo gear, but these are little reinforcing pieces that I cut out of tarp material. So I had this this made from a local place here in Los Angeles that uses a large laser to cut the plywood out. This is a special type of plywood for the die making industry. It has no voids. There's no open spots inside of it, so it's very, very strong. But the die that I'm going to be using as a demonstration today is actually a die that I had made from somebody here in Los Angeles as well, a gentleman up in the North Hollywood area, the Valley. He's been making dies for a long time. I actually just came across him recently, and I just had this die made by him. This is a die for the internal dividers on some of my lens cases. As you can see, these will get folded in half and then sewn and finished up to make the dividers. But this shape itself is made out of a piece of steel that's also been sharpened on the very edges. I'll show you in another video just a little bit more of the details of the actual die itself. But this is a sharpened piece of steel, so they are relatively sharp. I mean, you can touch your finger to it. It's not like a kitchen knife, but this cuts with a shearing motion instead of a slicing motion. So instead of a sharp kitchen knife slicing through something, this is using hydraulic pressure. This ton is rated for approximately 20 tons. So about 40,000 pounds, upwards of 40,000 pounds of pressure. So quite a bit. But you take these dies, which have been formed to a pattern that I provide to them. Those patterns are something that can be either computer generated, and then you print them out at a 1-to-1 scale, so you get the exact size, and then put it onto cards. This gentleman that makes these dies, he does it the old school way, I guess you could say. He does everything by hand. So there is a little bit of error in that process. There are other die manufacturers that are a little more modernized, and they will use computers, and you can send to them a digital file and everything like that. But he does it the old school way. I like to do it the old school way, but I'm also migrating into creating more patterns on the digital side of things as well. So I'll show you a little bit more of this, but I'll just go over the machine. So you have the machine here. It has a base, might be slightly out of frame. Again, it looks pretty ugly because it is kind of ugly. It's I got this machine from somebody locally here in Los Angeles, a lingerie manufacturer. Actually, they make novelty items for the adult. Either way, it was a lingerie store that also happened to sell adult items. They used to do manufacturing of their own products, but they shipped everything overseas. So now they're just an importer. Well, they had this machine in the back of a storage unit and clearing out house, doing some spring cleaning earlier this year, and they found the machine and decided to get rid of it. So I negotiated a good price that fit my budget at the time, and I decided to do a refurbishment on this project, on this press as well. So it's a little bit of a project for me, but this press was made probably at least 30 years ago, as of this date, 2021. So probably at least 30 years, maybe older. It's from a company called Schwabe. I believe they're still around. I think they're still around. I know that they can be serviced. There are people who service them, but this big press requires 3-phase power. I have 3-phase power here at my shop, which is a nice thing. There are other ways you can get 3-phase power if you are not able to get it directly. You can use various alternative methods, but this press, it does speed things up. There are other tools that are a little more versatile when it comes to cutting, but the way this cuts and the type of process that this uses allows you to be able to cut things that you can't say cut on a laser machine. Well, safely at least. Things like vinyl, tarp material. You can, obviously this is limited in terms of the size of dies that can be cut safely, but the materials that can be processed on this are very vast. You can cut plastics, you can cut softer plastics at least, you know. Please pardon the train. My shop is right next to the Amtrak line. Yeah, you can process lots of different things. Low density polyethylene, high density polyethylene, textiles, foam, various weights, sizes, and things. But it's a very versatile tool, and it's a part of my shop now. So just figured I might as well show you a little part of that process to make something very simple, what most people would think is very simple. I used to cut these by hand. I made a hard pattern out of plastic, but when you make these in bulk, 100 at a time, it gets a little bit time consuming. So I'm going to turn on the machine. It's going to be a little bit loud. So the next part of the video will show me demonstrating the press with the sound on. So if you can hear me over the sound, great, but otherwise you may not be able to hear my voice over the sound of the machine, because it does have a pump inside that drives the hydraulic fluid through the system. So I'll see you in the next video.